Hi, I'm Brandon Fields, the voice of Private Josh Woods on The Haven Chronicles. You're listening to Sci-Fi Haven.
Welcome to Sci-Fi Haven. This is actually going to be a special episode that I'm publishing today. If you listened to the recent episode, You're Missing the Big Question, Sally Shipton, you would know that I recently came out as non-binary. This episode is actually just my full coming out, and I have actually included a clip from my friend Christopher D. Littlefield's podcast, Open Channel Track, episode number 19, Black Girl Magic is Real. A link to that full episode will be included in the show notes for this episode. Well, last month, in October 2020, I had come out to my best friend Ren that I was non-binary. I came out to Ren and to my friend Red Sheridan, both during the same weekend, as they are both non-binary individuals. I did not come out to anyone else as I was worried for the backlash, such as when I came out as bisexual nearly 10 years ago. When I came out 10 years ago, I lost my best friend who I had known for 7 years at that point in time, maybe even longer, as I knew him from middle school. If you haven't listened to any other episodes of Sci-Fi Haven, you would know that I have not done any Star Trek reviews as of yet. But I am giving this episode and a massive shout out to my friend Christopher, who I mentioned at the start of this episode. The same weekend that I had come out publicly, Chris had his friend Brittany as a guest host on his podcast, and they did an episode entitled Shades of Grey, which came out on Monday the 9th of November 2020. Shades of Grey was episode 18, and members of the Facebook group The Nexus Holosuite Media Listeners Community gave comments and feedback from the Star Trek Discovery episode 4 of the third season, Forget Me Not. In that Star Trek episode, the episode aired on the first non-binary and first transgender characters in the history of Star Trek since it first aired on American and Canadian airwaves starting 54 years ago in September of 1966.
Okay, so our final comment comes from James Deuce again, but they left this comment with regards to last week's episode, Forget Me Not. And then they asked me if I would read this on this episode because it would mean a lot to them. So James says, I came out of the closet as a demisexual, non-binary person, and well, this episode that aired made me want to cry. Again, that's Forget Me Not, last week's episode. If it wasn't for this episode and a character like Adira Tal, I don't know if I would have had the strength to come out. I have always looked towards the Trill as acceptance for the community, never realizing until recently that I was looking at them as part of acceptance for myself. So, James, I am so honored that you shared this with us, and I'm so proud of you for having the guts and the bravery to stand up and say who you are, realize who you are, and of course, identifying with the Trill makes complete sense, and Star Trek in general. So this just really warms my heart so much, and I think you're amazing, and congratulations, and you are so lucky that you're in a Star Trek community that is loving and accepting of all different kinds of people. So you're in the right place and you're among friends. So again, thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so heartening to read this comment. And yeah, I can't remember the exact quote or how exactly it was said, but somebody said the world is so much more interesting when people realize who they are and share that with the world. And I think, yeah, the world is so much better when we not just accept, but like, as Gene Roddenberry said, celebrate the special differences between folks, this is beautiful. And I love that Star Trek plays a role in that process as well. So very moving. And thank you so much for this comment.
Yeah. We talk a lot about this kind of stuff on What the Future Holds too, because obviously it's me and Brandy, and we're both like super sensitive, and so I think this is just beautiful, and I can't really think of a better way to end the episode today, except welcome again to the party, James, and thank you everybody for your thoughtful comments. Dan, do you have?
I want to thank Dan and Chris for their kind words that you just heard. While I was preparing for this special podcast episode, I listened to their comments once again, and after listening to them first thing this morning when the episode debuted on Holosuite Media. I'm going to ask you at this time to please give Chris and Dan a listen to the entire podcast episode. It would mean a lot to me if you followed them and also subscribe to their channels. I'm now going to play a clip of how you can get a hold of them yourself.
Let our listeners know where they can find you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, of course, for having me on. I really do appreciate it. You can find me on my podcast is kind of the main thing that I do with Bruce Gibson, called Positively Trek. You can just find that wherever you get podcasts. We try to talk about Star Trek in a positive and uplifting manner. So, very, very similar to, I think, what you've got going on this show for sure.
Yeah.
And my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kurtratz Productions, where I make videos about Star Trek mostly, some other stuff occasionally. But on Saturday evenings, we do the Unready Room, which is a live discussion of the latest episode of Discovery for as long as it's running. So that's a lot of fun. Hope you'll join us there. And you can find me on Twitter at Kurtratz, and that's just Star Trek backwards, KERTRATS.
Well, thanks again, and I'm sure I'll see you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can join the Open Channel conversation on Twitter and Facebook by following us at Open Channel Trek, and by joining our listeners group on Facebook by typing The Nexus into the search field. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CDLittlefield. Keep an eye out for my Open Channel conversation threads on Facebook and Twitter, which I will post every Thursday right before each new Star Trek episode drops. Thanks for listening to Open Channel. Channel open, standing by.
From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for listening to Sci-Fi Haven. If you want to support my podcast, you can visit my sponsor, Mixed Energy and Pod Hero, or help us directly by visiting our Patreon page. With Mixed Energy, gone are the sugary drinks claiming to help you boost energy, only to leave you drained and crashing hours later. Mixed Energy is the next step in healthy energy. You can visit their website at mixedenergy.net and use our promo code SFHaven10 to save 10% on your next order. Sci-Fi Haven is brought to you by you, our listeners, by supporting us on Pod Hero. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support multiple podcasts with a single subscription without having to pay multiple subscriptions each month, visit podhero.com and sign up today for a single $5.99 per month subscription. Pod Hero does make it easy to support your favorite podcasts. Also, if you wish to support us directly, you can join our Patreon page for as little as $1 a month, and you can gain early access to our podcast, usually the day of recording, with average early access being 3 days in advance of recording. With supporting us directly on Patreon, you can have your name in our credits for as little as $5 a month. Please note our reviews of The Haven Chronicles. We publish our review within 24 to 48 hours of their podcast being released, as we do not have early access to their podcast. Also, if we can maintain a goal of $20 a month, we have partnered with The Haven Chronicles. For every $3 we earn each month, we will be donating on your behalf an additional $1 to the production of The Haven Chronicles. For example, if we can earn $21 a month, we'll be donating $7 to their audio drama directly from your own support of our podcast at no additional cost to you. At this time, we would love it if you would join us on our social media platforms. You can join our Facebook group, The Communicator. Just type in The Communicator, a Sci-Fi Haven community, in the Facebook search field. Our Facebook page is found at facebook.com/Sci-Fi Haven for the latest news. As well, we are on Twitter. Our Twitter profile is twitter.com/sci-fi_haven, or just search up the hashtag Sci-Fi Haven to see recent posts from us and other listeners of the show. Thank you for listening to this very special episode. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to actually do this episode, but listening to Dan and Chris made me cry, so I had to share my thoughts about it as well. We will see you in a few days as we are waiting for the next episode of The Haven Chronicles to drop, and we are still scheduled for our Season 4 review of Doctor Who with the episodes Silence in the Library and Force of the Dead, which will come out in 2 weeks. Thank you.